Hello everyone, how's it going on? Welcome back to another video, and today we're doing another race reaction for the 2021 season. This episode is the American Grand Prix, and it has to be said it was a very intense Grand Prix and a very good race from Verstappen and Lewis, who thought it out right to the end, which it was just fantastic to watch, fantastic to witness, and I'm going to get into everything that happened in the American Grand Prix. So we'll start with Red Bull then, and Max Verstappen winning once again in 2021. It wasn't an easy victory by any stretch. Obviously he lost the lead at the start, and then he sort of kept up with Lewis for a little while. Then Red Bull pitted early, and then sort of messed around with Mercedes a little bit, so Mercedes sort of had to alternate to a different strategy. And then unfortunately for Lewis, he wasn't able to catch Max at the end, and Max kept his head. He had much older tyres than Lewis as well, but held on towards the end and won the Grand Prix, and that could be the defining moment in this championship. But it was a solid drive from Verstappen, a championship drive, and a very big congratulations to Max Verstappen. Sergio Perez as well was another man who was absolutely on it all weekend. He's finally starting to come into his own as Sergio this weekend, and it's great to see. I mean, I rate Perez a lot, and I think he's a fantastic person in real life as well. But yeah, Perez also in P3 as well, and taking a double Red Bull podium. So next up is Mercedes, and like I just mentioned, Lewis Hamilton finishing in second, and couldn't quite take the win from Max Verstappen. Unfortunately, he got the gap down to about a second. There was literally about 3 laps to go. That was when the team said it was going to come down to, but unfortunately the race just didn't come to Lewis in the end, and Mercedes tried to be a little bit smart, but unfortunately just didn't pay off, and he kept getting in the 1 second window, but as soon as they came sort of down towards sector 2, down that back straight, Lewis just didn't have the DRS, unfortunately, which was a big shame, because I think Mercedes are really powerful on that back straight, obviously with the straight line speed. But yeah, no, still a good job from Lewis. I mean, he had a fantastic start, but yeah, it was just unfortunate that he couldn't get the win. And Valtteri Bottas as well, finishing in 6th place. Obviously, once again, had another grid penalty for this weekend, but was really struggling to make up positions earlier on. He was stuck behind both AlphaTauris, I think, for a long while, and then he was finally making his way up and had a good battle with the McLaren and the Ferrari as well. But yeah, P6 for Valtteri Bottas. So next up is Ferrari. They gave us a hell of a battle with the 2 McLarens at the start of the Grand Prix, but we'll start with Charles Leclerc. He finished up in 4th place, and once again a very solid drive from the Monegasque, I think that's how you say it. But yeah, no, a great weekend for Charles Leclerc, once again, sort of upping the stakes again in that Ferrari. I mean, Sainz for a little while was starting to come back. He overtook him in the championship, but they're still literally separated by like about 10 points, I think. But yeah, really good job from Leclerc. And Carlos Sainz as well. He finished up in 7th. Like I just mentioned, he had a massive battle with Ricciardo through the majority of the Grand Prix, and then also had a fantastic battle with Lando as well at times as well. So the Ferraris really did put on a good show, and some good points again for Ferrari. Next up is McLaren. Ricciardo, once again, having a really good weekend as well. He finished up in 5th place. Like I said, with Ferrari, he had a massive battle with Sainz middle of the Grand Prix, and it was really good to see. It was nice, clean, committed racing, and that's what we love to see in Formula 1. But yeah, like I said, Ricciardo really coming to his own at the end of the season here. He's really starting to get the performance out of the car. Obviously, he had a disappointing qualifying in Turkey, but apart from that, he's had a pretty good end to the season so far, so hopefully he can keep it up. And Lando Norris as well. Yeah, didn't really see a lot of Lando, apart from when he was fighting the Ferraris, and when he nearly went down the inside of Sainz and nearly took out Charles Leclerc. I thought that was going to be a humongous accident, but luckily he managed to keep it in. I don't even know how he didn't even collide with Sainz and Ricciardo, to be honest, but again, great battling. But yeah, Lando not really putting in some great performances recently. He's definitely stepped down a level compared to where he was at the start of the season and the middle of the season. But you know, still 5 races to go, and I think everyone knows that he's had a fantastic season already. So next up we'll do AlphaTauri. Yuki Tsunoda finishing in 9th. Another man who sort of stepped it up towards the end of the season, starting to come into his own again. Obviously he had a great start to the season, but kind of dropped off for a long time. But now he's starting to claw it back a little bit, and today he finished in 9th, so taking 2 points for AlphaTauri, so that's really good to see. And I think he's made Q2 in the last 2 races, Q3 in the last 2 races as well, so that's good to see as well. And Pierre Gasly unfortunately retired due to a suspension failure due to the sort of bumpiness of the track. I think they even surfaced it out a little bit, like smoothed it out a little bit for the MotoGP, but it wasn't enough, especially through the S section. It was just bumpy as hell. You could see a majority through qualifying, the cars just absolutely bumping around all over the place. But unfortunately, Gasly had to retire, and that was that for AlphaTauri. So next up, we'll do Aston Martin. Sebastian Vettel finishing in 10th and picking up the final point for Aston Martin, and was a really good comeback from Seb. It has to be said. He obviously had a grid penalty as well, starting down the grid, and yeah, managed to claw his way back up into 10th place. Again, didn't really see much of him, really. I think he was making a few moves here and there. We did see quite a majority of the moves as well throughout the field, which was really good. But I'll get onto the TV direction in a second, because I feel like there was still some really stupid moments where we were seeing the two leaders, and you know, and we were looking at like Bottas following sights. Like, I don't care about that. I want to see what the gap is. That's the other thing as well. They kept not showing the gap and stuff. I'm like, what are you doing? The gap's like the most important thing. They were literally just showing the names and the teams. I'm like, I know the teams, I know the drivers, you don't need to show me that, show me the gap. But that annoyed me. But anyway, back on track to Aston Martin. Like I said, Vettel in 10th, and Stroll didn't have a very good start to the Grand Prix. I think he got tagged with Latifi at the start, and then he sort of ruined his race at that point really, and then didn't really do much else from that, so he finished up in 12th in the end. So next up we'll do Alfa Romeo. Giovinazzi finished in 11th, once again very close to the points for the Alfa Romeo team, and once again I think Giovinazzi proving that he deserves that seat, but we'll see who gets it. But yeah, 11th place for Giovinazzi. You didn't really see much of him. There was a lot of scraps going on below him as well, which I'll get onto in a second with Raikkonen. But yeah, Gio, once again, 11th place. I feel like he is a really underrated driver this season, and I feel like he deserves another chance at Alfa Romeo, but that's just my opinion. And Kimi Raikkonen had a bit of a ding-dong with Fernando Alonso, the two most experienced drivers on the grid. It was great to see. It was so funny as well with the team radio and everything, and Alpine getting a bit sassy with Raikkonen, taking him around the outside, which he was sort of forced off, and then obviously they made contact and the sort of bodywork fell off as well. But yeah, Raikkonen ended up in 13th in the end, but it was just so funny to see the two most experienced drivers having a ding-dong like that. It was just hilarious. So next up we'll do Williams. Again, didn't really see much of the Williams apart from, like I said, Latifi at the start taking out Stroll. Sort of, well, he said he got sandwiched, but I don't think it was. I think it was just turn one once again. Cold tyres, heavy fuel, just not a lot you can do in that situation, especially as how turn one is at Koto. It's a very tight, awkward sort of turn one, so it's just one of those things, unfortunately. But Latifi ended up in 15th. George Russell made it into Q2 once again, but yeah, again, didn't really have the pace to do anything, didn't really see much of him, and it was only 14th for George Russell as well. So next up we'll do Haas. Once again, nothing to say about Haas, didn't really see them all too much. I think I saw a team radio or something of Mick, I can't remember what it was now, but that was the only sort of thing I knew from the Haas guys. And there was a point as well, I think, where Mick sort of helped Verstappen sort of towards the end of the Grand Prix as well, because Verstappen had DRS going over the line for the final lap. So that kind of also ruined Lewis's chance of getting Max at the end. But yeah, apart from that, didn't really see much of the Haas's either. And finally, to round it off, we have Alpine. It was a terrible weekend for Alpine. Ocon retired sort of midway through. I'm not really sure what the cause was. I think it was the collision at the start of the Grand Prix. I can't really remember. I know he had some collision with someone. He came to change his front wing. I think it might have just been to save engine and save all that sort of thing, just so they don't have to take penalties for future races. But either way, not much from Ocon, and Alonso, like I mentioned, had the scrap with Kimi for a little while, and then Alpine were like, oh, can we go off the circuit and overtake around the outside? And the FIA are like, no, you can't do that. And then Alpine are just like, well, that's what Kimi did. I'm probably getting sassy on the radio. It's like I said, it was absolutely hilarious, but great from Alpine. So there we go, guys, for the race reaction for the 2021 American Grand Prix. I love Texas. I mean, I think the track is fantastic, and I hope we race there for many, many years, because it is such an underrated circuit, in my opinion. I do have a video coming soon of my top 10 F1 tracks, so I won't spoil anything there, but that track might be on there, not hinting anything. But yeah, that will be coming out soon. But for this race reaction, guys, hope you have enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought in the comments section. section about everything that happened in the race. And if you did like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you are new as well, and I will see you all again in the next one, guys. Take care.